So this old machine here is my wheel horse 1057. Now, if you're familiar with wheel horses and the 1057s, you're probably saying, no, it's not. The big giveaway there is the engine. That's not the original engine, of course. When I bought this, it had the 10-horse Kohler engine in it, starter generator, still has the original transmission in it, but pretty much everything else is gone here. I wanted to put this thing together to use for some tractor pulling, so I went back and forth on what engine I was going to put in there, and I was originally going to put a Briggs Vanguard 16 horsepower V-twin in there because there's a bunch of 16 horsepower classes in our area at the time that, you know, were pretty competitive, and not too many people were running a V-twin. They were either running a 16 horse Onan or they were running a 16 horse Kohler K series engine. So I ended up not even going that route at all, and not even in that class at all. And I bought an old Sears Suburban tractor with this 18 horse Onan in it, and I dumped it in there and just ran the 20 horse classes. This is an old Onan here. This one's an old B43, I believe it is. Let me lift the hood here, because I had to do some modifications to it as well. Nothing serious. It is a bone stock engine internally, but the carburetor, well, you can tell by just the different air cleaner on there. You know, this isn't your typical old B43 series from a Sears Suburban. The carburetor, I had to switch it. I went to the newer style, and that's how I got the newer style air cleaner tray on there. You know, the old carburetors on these older Onans, they were a square body carburetor and had the fuel pump mounted directly on the front. This one here, you can see I got the Mikuni vacuum pump mounted up underneath the air cleaner tray there. Right here, this side, so you can see here. You can see this is the newer carburetor setup, so just a little bit easier to work on. Parts are more readily available. That was the main reason why I went with it. So yeah, the first thing was getting an engine in here. And if you're familiar with the wheel horses with any kind of a twin cylinder engine or anything, you know they do not mount directly to the frame. You have to have some kind of an adapter plate on there, same way they do with the 520Hs, other models they have with Onans in them, and some of the Briggs opposed twins, or, you know, engines like that. They have an adapter plate down there. So this is one that Hooker Hitch. They make a lot of pulling parts and stuff. That's where most of these custom parts were made at. So this is an aluminum adapter plate right here. So it's nice and strong, plus it doesn't add a lot of weight to the tractor. So when you're pulling, that's what you want. You want to be able to move your weight around, not have it all stuck in one spot. So that was the engine setup. Then you can see we added the two stainless steel exhaust pipes there, and had to put a piece in the middle, crossover there, because they would vibrate real bad. That took out a lot of the vibration, so we don't have to worry about welds breaking or cracking or nothing on those stainless pipes. And again, like I said, this was a 10-horse Kohler. It had a starter generator on it, so all the wiring, just completely ripped it out. Started from scratch. Ran my own harness. You know, I think the battery used to be up here on the original one. Got it back behind the seat now. That's why we have the cables running up here for the battery. Voltage regulator. Got all that stuff wired up over here. The ignition, of course. You know, solenoid. It never had a solenoid down there before. I put all that in there. So it wasn't too hard to do. I mean, if you know what you're doing with lawnmower wiring, this is the basics here, because we don't have a PTO switch or anything like that. We're using this for tractor pulling, so of course no safety switches. Now the ignition switch, it's completely different. It's a regular 5-prong ignition switch. You can see down there. That's it there. So we changed that for sure. The gas tank is still the original old metal gas tank, and I've had no rust problems with that thing at all. And I've owned this for, oh man, probably 10 years or so now, at least. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, it sits with gas in it from one year to the next, and no rust issues. I mean, you can see I was just driving it around again today. Nothing in that filter there. Unbelievable, huh? Yeah, crazy. So, boy, there's a lot of things that were modified and changed here from the original one, and I'm going to try to remember as many of them as I can and point them out here for you. Obviously, these floorboards on the old 1057s, they just had the hoop here, the stirrup to put your feet on. And if you're doing tractor pulling, you don't want that because it's too easy for your feet to flip off there, and you end up running your leg over, and you get that under one of these big meaty tires and all this weight back here. It's gonna put a hurting on your ankle and your leg. So these actually came off of a Simplicity tractor of some sort. I can't remember what it was. It was one of those old ones, you know, it looks like it's got a dog box on the front of it for a hood. So we modified them to put them on here. So we actually had some kind of a floorboard. Definitely helpful. Have that. And you can probably notice this here. The reason why we had to brace up this rod for the clutch and brake is because first time I took it out, the belt was slipping, the drive belt. So put some heavier duty springs on there to eliminate the drive belt from slipping, and they were so hefty that it was pulling the bend out of the rod here. So we needed to bend to be able to get the linkage to go back along the frame here and then come out to the pedal here. So we had to brace this up here so that when you push down on it, oh gosh, that thing is stiff. So it wouldn't bend and pull that straight there. So that's why that looks the way it does. The mower deck lift here, this originally I don't believe was that way. From what I remember, this was just smooth here. It wasn't indexed. There were no notches there. And again, that was one that over at Hooker Hitch, they modified that. So this could be indexed, and if you're looking in the background there, you can see when this deck lift handle is moving, so is the drive belt. So what was done here, and a lot of the old wheel horse tractor pulling guys know this, and under here it's kind of hard to see, but the shaft that was on here that would go across for raising and lowering your mower deck, cut the ears off there, you know, all the stuff for the lift, and actually extend it out past the frame. And then over here there's an arm on here, and it has several different holes drilled and tapped in it, and there's an idler pulley mounted to that. Right down there you can see the end of the bolt sticking through. There's a small idler pulley on there. Get up in there a little bit and see that. Yeah, you can see that black plastic idler pulley right there. So what happens is when you're tractor pulling and you start out, you get going, and then you can take this deck lift lever here, and if you push that front, it's just going to latch down on that belt and make it impossible for that belt to slip now. That belt's got nowhere to go. All the tension is directly on it. And this thing's just going to go till it runs out of power and stalls the engine out, or you manually pull back on this. So that again is another modification that we made. Definitely helps with the pulling, kind of like a cruise control, you know. Then the dash, well, actually the steering wheel is broken, so we got this one. This is just an aftermarket steering wheel, hub piece made up there again, hookerhitch.com. They made that hub up to adapt from the steering shaft onto the steering wheel. The dash, the original dash had a throttle lever over here, or I forget, there's two levers. There's one on this side and one on this side. One was for the choke and one was for the throttle, and they were both the kind, you know, that you would just push up the whole way. Or no, I'm wrong, I'm sorry. This one had the ones with the two knobs that you pulled out for the throttle and for the choke. So got rid of that. It also had the little cigarette lighter in it and had a light for the charging system. But got rid of all that, planed it up, put the aluminum diamond plate on there, almost see my reflection in there. Did the aluminum diamond plate down here because there was nothing there at the shifter. So just kind of dressed it up a little bit, put that on there. And if you look down inside there, put some more diamond plate down in there just to keep the dirt and the mud and everything out of there. And the seat, you know, pan seat. Again, more diamond plate so that it's not completely smooth, but you want to be able to slide around and shift your weight back and forth, and you want to be able to lean back on this thing when you're pulling. So that's the reason for that there. Underneath here, you can see it's pretty dirty under there, but we got these big old weights that we welded up here out of some, I think that's 1x2 steel, and put them on either side. So we got plenty of weight back here in the back, that's for sure. And there again, like I said, moved the battery back here just to put more of the battery's a little bit heavy, so puts more weight here in the back, but it makes more room in our engine compartment there for putting that bigger engine in it. So that was the best place to go with the battery. We got a rubber mat up there just in case you don't want anything touching the battery and shorten it out. And down there we got our kill switch back there. So down here on this side, you can see we got the big weights here. And down in here, if you look at this, we've got a different transmission pulley on there than an original style wheel horse pulley. And we'll explain that in just a second, because if you come up here to the front, that's not your typical wheel horse drive pulley on there either. What this is this is an adjustable pulley here. You can turn this in or out, and it changes the diameter of your pulley by changing the width. So the belt, if you turn this in, the belt's going to come out further, which makes the pulley larger. You turn this out towards you, then the belt's going to be able to sit down in, which would be the same as having a smaller diameter pulley. This is a pretty typical thing that we were seeing wheel horse guys using and doing, and the problem was once you would turn this so much, then you had to change the pulley on the back. So I know some guys would carry a whole toolbox full of pulleys to put on the transmission. Well, yeah, you can see that's no fun getting in there. You gotta take the wheel off and everything else. So we came up with the idea of, well, if we're putting an adjustable one on the front, let's put an adjustable one on the back too. So that's the reason for the different pulley in the back and the different one in the front. So we can change the gearing on this thing pretty much on the fly. It's down underneath there. There's one set screw you loosen up, and you can just adjust this thing out. Real simple to do. Plus, we also put this on here for, you know, when you're changing the diameter of the belt or the diameter of the pulley, your belt's going to ride at different spots. So this is a way we could move the belt guide up or down to keep it from flopping around. There is no bottom on this belt shield here. It's just, we cut it off and just let it go like that. It's worked great for all these years, no issues. So we did modify this belt guard, or this belt guard a little bit. You know, we put another spot in here to be able to mount it, and you can see there's our arm we were talking about for the that's on the lift lever there, connected to it. And then, like I said, got the step over here, the running board, the footboard from the Simplicity here, and then this is one of the foot throttles from Hooker Hitch. You can see right there, and it was modified to put on here, so it mounts onto this floorboard. The cable actually comes through this piece right here. This is what stops the housing, and the cable can move free, and that's our foot throttle. It goes up around here to a bracket that we put on, and then attaches to the governor control arm there. So that's the main modifications I can think of. We do have the big weight box back here. Slide our bars in there for added weight, and then you know, this is just typical tractor pulling stuff, the weight box. And then back here we have a set of wheelie bars and a hitch. This is adjustable, it's dovetailed, and there's one set screw down here. You loosen that up and you can slide this to whatever height you want. That again is another Hooker Hitch original there. I'm not sure if they're producing these yet for wheel horses. I know they do have a universal one that if you wheel horse guys are looking for one, you could possibly use that on here. And the wheelie bars actually are made by them too, and they mount right onto the side of this hitch. So very nice setup. So easy when you only have the one set screw to loosen up to be able to adjust it. And then back here in the front, close the hood so you can see this. Kept having a problem where the front end was light and would come up, so we put this old ammo box on here so we could pile it full weight and keep the front end down a little bit better. So that's it there. That's the 1057. About all the modifications I could think of that we did to it. For whatever reason, people seem to really like this thing. I get quite a few people offering to buy it off of me, you know, and I have it out running around at shows and stuff. So it's just a cool old tractor. You know, sounds pretty cool. There's straight pipes on the Onan. Not your typical sound like a V-twin or anything like that. So maybe that's what it is. But it's amazing to me for how old this tractor is, and believe me, this is not kept in a garage and in perfect conditions year round. There's times where it sits outside for a few months at a time with just the exhaust covered, and it's amazing how well this holds up. Even the original sheet metal on it, you know. It's not something you see from the newer machines these days, that's for sure. These days, the old 1057 is mostly just used for work around the home or in the garden, towing a wagon, hauling the kids around, that kind of stuff there. But every once in a while, we'll get it out, we'll get it running, and we'll load it up on a trailer, take it to a tractor show or, you know, a tractor pull nearby if we got the time.